morning to everyone with an internet connection. You're here. This is the next part of my 5-star stories video, and I had a bit of a breakthrough that I think will not only apply to this build, but actually some other builds that I've been stuck on because I just didn't feel inspired. And it comes from a very strange place because I've been watching a lot of the Dana Howell videos here lately, because she's got a lot of videos on speed paint, which I use. Like I use I use on that, and then I use it on that, and I think she's technically sponsored by them, and she also really understands how this stuff behaves, and I learned a lot from her. And then another thing she talked about was something I'd heard mentioned before, and I didn't really think a lot about it, but now I can see it would actually help some of my projects, and it's kind of broken my uninspiration slump, I guess you could say, on some things. Because as I did the video, I started the build for the our skills, or whatever the fuck you call them, from 5-star stories, but I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, and I find it hard to stay inspired, especially on those to do just a vanilla build, because, like, to me the most exciting thing about the two that I've done from Volk so far were customized in different ways. And you know, sometimes I'll get in the mood to do like a straight build for things, but those kits are special, and I think maybe I've decided that because they're so special and they're whatever they are, I don't ever want to do vanilla builds of them very much. The more I can kind of deviate on them, the better. Anyway, so Dana has done a video about something called the slapchop method, and I've had my own style of painting for a while now, but in growing my style and in growing your style, I recommend that you learn different techniques, because you may not copy that technique. Some people do, and that's fine, but sometimes you may say, I'm going to take a little bit of that technique and apply it to some things that I do, and it will grow your own unique style. It'll teach you something new, and even if you don't use any of it, you'll have learned something new probably about how a medium behaves. There's no downside to doing this. There's only upsides to this, even if you don't use anything from the technique that you've learned. But I think that I found a technique that I like and I've learned from, and I will not copy it, but I am going to incorporate it in some stuff. So I haven't done a lot of videos about this because I don't really feel like I want to make a video on this stuff, even though it's very important to me and I'm having a fun time. But I've mentioned before that I'm doing BattleTech stuff, and it's definitely been things I've been doing in the background, mainly because it's a really fun game to play that we've been diving into, me and my friends. So I've been doing a lot with it, and because of that, it's very likely that I will end up making a video of something with it. It's going to show up probably, because I'm probably going to find a cool thing to do with stuff. As a matter of fact, now I think about it, I actually have something I could do with a video on BattleTech, but I digress. That's not the point of today. Anyway, I did kind of do some stuff, so I wanted to show you, like, I know I have shown you some videos. I guess, shit, I did do the king crab video. Whatever, I did 2 king crab videos, but you're already familiar with this guy if you watch my other videos. King crab mech, and he's super cool and stuff. But this is more along some kind of things that are just like my style of stuff I cooked up, so I kind of already have a quote-unquote style, if you will. So there's kind of my thing that I've done, that I cooked up. And then here is some more work that I actually did with the speed paints, getting closer to Dana Howell kind of thing, but I did some traditional weathering on it. Looks real great. I'm very happy with it, right? Yeah, it's cool. And the speed paints are really great because they're somewhat translucent, and you can see things underneath of them, and it gives it a value that I never really thought about. I never really wrapped my head around until yesterday, and now it's really probably going to influence how I use speed paints in a lot of things. But yeah, no, this is cool, don't get me wrong, and I'm happy with this. This is very tabletop ready, and not only that, but, like, you know, I actually made a card accurate, which I was really excited because I found the numeric water slides that were the same numbers on the card. But yeah, this was a fun little thing. But again, I didn't feel like making a video about it, but, you know, cool stuff. Did a second one. This is more just kind of plain Jane, you know, BattleTech, a little bit of weathering kind of stuff. Did some terrain on it, very cool stuff. And then yesterday, I started learning about the slapchop stuff. So what the slapchop stuff is, in a nutshell, I don't want to do a video on slapchop because Dana has a video on slapchop that'll be infinitely better than anything I do because that was what she did. But to basically sum it up for you real fast, is what you do is you prime something in black paint. You then take a dry brushing technique. I would suggest that you use old makeup brushes. I think they're the best dry brushes. Don't go fucking buy dry brushes for dry brushing. They're super expensive, and I would almost bet you money that they're not as good as used makeup brushes. Anyway, so you coat it with all black paint. You take a makeup brush, you very lightly dry brush gray paint all over the surface to kind of like touch most of the areas because the little cracks are going to stay black. And then in some kind of top parts or wherever you want the light source to shine, you do some more light dry brushing, even lighter with some white paint. And when you put the speed paint on top of that, and it shows through those highlights and stuff. So here's the first mech that I did that's mainly sticking to her style. This is a slapchop. I did a Bjarlent. Very happy with this. Very fucking dope. I'm probably going to do my other Battletech mechs with this because I'm so happy with the way that it turned out. I actually like it better than my HG because it looks more like real life, realistic and stuff. Very, very cool, very fun thing that I did here. So yeah, this is just kind of like the slapchop method as is with not some huge alterations. I did do some stuff with metallics like on the guns and the thrusters and things like I normally do with some washes just to, you know, differentiate so it's not 100% that style. But it's pretty much a by the book attempting to do what she did. Now, I probably didn't do as good a job as she did because I'm just learning this technique myself, and I was struggling actually with my paint viscosity to get it to dry brush the way I wanted it to. And then here is dry brushing plus the weird things that I do. And then this is a whole nother story. This was actually something I kit bashed that it might as well just get its own video, but we're not going to do that right now. But I did that stuff, and then I went on top of it and I did my deed that I do with Turbo Dorks, and then I did washes on them, and then I also did some whatever the word is because I don't know words, where you make it look like light is shining. So I made it look like the flame in his hand is illuminating his face. But we got a combination of techniques here, where it's like, you know, there is, you can really see it in like the cloth there on his stuff, a little brown. This is more like straight slap chop, whereas like I've added additional layers. I mean, like the secret to my stuff very often is like lots and lots and lots of steps. And like on the wings, I did a lot of blending. That's the other cool thing I learned from Dana's videos, is because those speed paints, they will reactivate. That's either a hindrance or a wonderful thing if you know what you're doing. If you don't intend them to blend, that's a pain in the ass, because unlike the Warhammer contrast paints, they will reactivate. But for me, I think that's a great thing because it gives me the option to. You don't have the option with contrast paints to do what I did, which is I will use that in my favor to intentionally blend. And if you don't want it to blend, if you're ready to put another layer that you don't want to blend in, you could either wait 3 to 5 hours, or if you're like me with no patience whatsoever, you can go on top of it with my good old friend Mr. Rust-Oleum Matte Varnish Clear Coat. And then you can do things like I did, like applying the black ice on the wing edges here, and then some additional washes to outline those wing edges. But this is basically slap chop plus my stuff. And I was like, you know, I started the Schools kit, and I was like, it was fun, it's cool, I'm always excited to do these, but I'm like, I wasn't pushed by it, I wasn't passionate about it. And like, we got the head started here, you know, everything's all good and great, nothing crazy to report back. But again, I was just like, I don't know if I'm really that excited about it, because I'm like, I'd have to mask it to airbrush it to do it perfect like the thing, and it's just not that fun to me. And fun rules in this shit. If you're not having fun, the project's gonna fucking suck and you're gonna quit doing things. But then I was like, wait a minute, I had a craziest idea. I'm like, what if I slap chop a giant 100 scale model kit? So you know what? I think that's what we're gonna do. Not only that, I think I may change what I was gonna do with, I'm sure you've seen multiple videos, or the big video, I can't remember how I did it, of the Palace Athene build. I was gonna airbrush it, but I just wasn't having fun. Maybe I'll slap chop that too. I don't know. Let's just see what happens, because I'm gonna do this, applying the crap that I learned here, and I'm gonna give you a quick overview of what we're gonna do specifically for Logan's method of slap chopping, is what I told you with the black all over the stuff. And then we're going to do the gray and then the white. But what we're going to do is, my thing is I'm inserting an additional step. And what we're going to do is we're going to assemble the model, We're going to coat it all with black primer, but then the in-between step that we're going to insert in here is we're going to hit it with a bright light on top, and we're going to take a bunch of reference photos with it just being a solid black, because there's no better time to take a reference photo than something that is one solid color. Like, look at Mr. Demon Man from Hell here. Because he's not a which color, you can actually see the light. When I hold this light over him, you can see the highlights. And why am I taking these reference photos? Because I'm going to do the slap chop after, and I'm going to use those reference photos to manually paint additional brighter highlights on top of it to lift it even further. So that's how we're going to pull this off, actually. So yeah, it's going to be like slap chop plus, if you will, because it'll be slap chop, but it'll also be artificially like zenithaling it, if you will. Which I guess if I really love this process, that means I'm going to have to strip the freaking primer off of these guys and start over on them, which that's fine. You know, so that sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes it's like, you know, you change your mind, dip that sucker in alcohol, scrub it off, and start over. That's cool. You got to be bold and take chances and take steps that you sometimes have to undo to take a risk and do a thing. But anyway, that's the video today. Now I'm going to go do the 9 million things that I have to do, and then come home and start this. And then we'll make another video. I don't know when I'm gonna make the next video for this, because what I gotta do next is I gotta finish the assembly process for this, and then I gotta prime it. I think maybe the next video should be me doing the reference photos of highlights so you can visually see it in action, and we'll pick up there. So this is part 2 of the stuff, new information. Go check out Dana Howe videos like I did, because I learned a lot from her. She's awesome. And you guys have a nice afternoon.